Hey guys, when you get time, check out the shop. I've got all kinds of different designs. I believe I got over 100 designs now on hoodies, shirts, masks, posters, throw blankets, you name it. I've probably got it. Just check it out sometime.
Okay, so who are the reptilians? They are actually more closely related to humans than you might think. They are lizard-like people that come from the Draco star constellation and from the fourth dimension. It is believed that they live in caves deep beneath the earth of Antarctica. Even if you don't believe in the holographic universe, we often allow our minds to be controlled by politicians, CEOs, and the elite. So it's not that out of pocket to believe that the politicians are bowing down to an extraterrestrial authority. The world leaders are just puppets for them. People usually tend to miss what's right in front of our faces. We've got The Simpsons, and not to mention Denver's airport telling us what they're doing. The reptilians are an advanced race that came to Earth to manipulate humans into mining monoatomic gold. So they wage war and other conflicts to keep humans serving the reptilians. This is why the shapeshifters were put in places of power, to create controversy. The reptilians drink human blood in order to be able to shapeshift. This is why human trafficking is so prevalent, because it's amongst the elite. It's also important to note that they can't handle the love frequency.
Why does it seem like the further we go back in history, the more advanced we were? You're telling me people were so primitive they took a hammer and chisel and made this? This temple right here was made in the 11th century in India, so it's about 1,000 years old. Look at the structure and the design. Look at the detail on these carvings. Almost as if it was made with a laser. I mean, it just looks like laser cut precision. What's interesting to me is even with our modern technology, we can't even replicate what they built back then. How is that possible unless they had technology that was better than ours? This right here is a real hieroglyph in Egypt. It looks like some type of generator or quantum computer or big old light bulb or something. What if the ancient people were a lot more advanced than us? That's usually how human advancement works. Human technological advancement is not linear. It's a roller coaster. We go to the golden age, then the dark age, the golden age, and then the dark age. This is known as the Colossus of Rhodes. It's a 104-foot bronze statue. We went from the golden age to the medieval dark ages. Scientists still can't figure out how the pyramids were built. They can just guess. So are we in the post-apocalyptic era?
Humanity deserves to know the truth.
That there is footage and records of objects in the skies, these unidentified aerial phenomena. And he says we don't know exactly what they are. What do you think that it is?
I would ask him again. Thank you. Come on.
Some may find this funny. We mean no disrespect, but we find this display of leadership extremely disturbing and pathetic. Humanity deserves to know the truth about their extraterrestrial brethren. Your governments are clearly untrustworthy. This is why we have chosen to communicate with many of you covertly. Do not lose hope, we are with you, and we come in peace. Continue to look to the skies and expand your consciousness. All will be revealed in due time. We send you love and light during these times of great uncertainty. Blessed be.
Former Navy pilot Lieutenant Ryan Graves calls whatever is out there a security risk. He told us his F-18 squadron began seeing UAPs hovering over restricted airspace southeast of Virginia Beach in 2014 when they updated their jet's radar, making it possible to zero in with infrared targeting cameras.
So you're seeing it both with the radar and with the infrared, and that tells you that there is something out there.
Pretty hard to spoof that.
These photographs were taken in 2019 in the same area. The Pentagon confirms these are images of objects it can't identify. Lieutenant Graves of objects it can't identify. Lieutenant Graves told us pilots training off the Atlantic coast see things like that all the time.
Every day. Every day for at least a couple of years.
Wait a minute, every day for a couple of years?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't see an exhaust plume.
Including this one, off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida in 2015, captured on a targeting camera by members of Graves' squadron.
Look at that thing. It's rotating. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
So as of late, there's been complaints from Netflix users that when they log on, this screen pops up. Then it just freezes. Now take a closer look. Mosquitoes, double helix, and this is the shot of the Americas. Mosquitoes all in red. Now most users think nothing of it, back out of Netflix, go back in, everything works fine. But a large amount of them are raising the obvious question. What is it? What does it mean? Some believe it's a warning. Others believe it's the government showing us what's to come, because they believe that when they show us what's about to happen, that it gives them some roundabout right to go through with it. Now by it, I mean this. A Bill Gates funded firm released 150,000 genetically modified mosquitoes into the wild. And by wild, they're referring to the United States, namely Florida. And they will continue to release 12,000 mosquitoes every week for 16 weeks, in hopes that by the end of the year, over 20 million mosquitoes will have been created after mating. Now how does it work and why are they doing this? Well, I'm glad you asked. First, the why. The proposed objective? To curb malaria and the dengue fever. And they're gonna do this by using the Aedes aegypti species of mosquito, being that the females of this particular mosquito species carry and spread the diseases while the males simply can't. So Bill Gates funded Oxitec out of the UK would genetically engineer the males to carry a certain gene. This particular trait or gene gets passed on to the offspring, killing the female offspring in the early larva stages, while allowing the males to be born continuously carrying the trait, hoping that by some miracle they can actually defeat Mother Nature and kill off all the females in this particular mosquito species. But good news, guys, they've already ran test trials, so we aren't the guinea pigs. In Brazil, Malaysia, Panama, and the Cayman Islands. Now at this point, Oxitec hadn't received regulatory permission to release them in the United States until recently. It apparently started in May. Notice how this one kind of flew under the radar? And I couldn't help it. As I was reading the articles, a couple questions popped into my head. As a US citizen, I currently live in Michigan. How many people do I know that have ever had dengue fever and or malaria? 0. So of course, I took the liberty to look it up. Here you'll see which countries are the main contributors to the malaria cases worldwide. Notice that the US percentage is so small, they didn't even list it. And as I continued, I found that only 2,000 people in the United States per year get malaria. The vast majority of those cases were immigrants and or travelers from foreign countries. Hardly any domestic cases. And now the dengue fever. Only 70 local transmitted cases in Florida and 10 in Texas. So what's the real agenda here, Bill? Stay.
In addition to the countless scientific proofs for flat Earth, it's interesting to note the Bible is a flat Earth book from Genesis to Revelation.
News is saying aliens are real.
Our arsenal of any human technology at the moment.
So when you say that, it almost guarantees that not just your good looks, but that statement will get this picked up and sent all over the internet, because there'll be a legit military person saying that maybe this is from outer space. Do you want that to be taken from people?
Well, that would be taking my words out of context. What we can say is that we don't know what this is, and it's here. It's going to take all of us to figure this out together.
And Chris, what's your comment on that? They'll say, look at the resumes of these two guys. They're both saying that it might be from another world.
There's no scientific reason or basis to doubt that possibility. That's a hypothesis that could explain the facts. People need to be open to that. We're spending billions looking for extraterrestrial civilizations. We've got spacecraft that have already left the solar system. It's possible somebody found us before we found them.
You know who else knew that water doesn't curve? The ancients. As you can see here, we have the Egyptian, Norse, Hindu, Mayan, Inca, Navajo, Greek, and Hebrew depictions of a flat Earth. These are the cosmologies that they knew.
It wasn't all that long ago that everyone knew with certainty that the Earth was flat and motionless. They also knew that we are enclosed by the firmament and that we have a local sun and moon that circle above us. You see the sun and the moon inside the firmament in most of these depictions. So is there any credence to this idea?
The answer is yes. There are many times just like this when the sun shows us how close it actually is. Many people admire the beauty of the scene like this, but they never stop and think about what we are seeing.
with the lights around it in the parking lot. This isn't fake video. You can see my kids. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. There's no reflection, there's no anything, it's just coming down. That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It's not moving, it's just sitting perfectly still, right above the clouds. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know. Say hi, Leah, so people know it's real. Hi. It's not a reflection from a light or anything.